Oklahomans' rights are being violated. Personal liberties are being removed by force and by passivity. Americans are being bullied, intimidated, and manipulated. Oklahoma needs a strong leader who will stand up to federal overreach. We must stop unconstitutional mandates and elimination of informed consent. As a naturopathic doctor, I've personally treated over 9,000 COVID-19 patients with 0 deaths. That does not include the thousands upon thousands whom I've assisted with their overall health. As your next governor, I will defend Oklahomans' rights. I will not be bought with federal funds, corporate entities, or any other monies that have strings attached. I will not surrender your freedoms, nor will I bow down to petty tyrants, their scare tactics, or their threats. So stand with me and vote Mark Sherwood for governor.
We have up is down, left is right, bad is good, confusion. And God is not the author of confusion.
God wants to bless America, but it starts with His people first repenting and the ending of sin.
We have been in ministry the last 20 years. It was in prayer that the Lord began to convict me to run for office. And so I'm excited about Dr. Sherwood stepping up to the plate.
This is a man after God's own heart who will not compromise with the devil.
He's bold, he's courageous.
I'm Nick Vujicic.
Warren Hamilton.
I'm Jake Merrick.
And I endorse
enthusiastically
Dr. Mark Sherwood
as governor of Oklahoma.
The ending of slavery happened with total abolishing of it. We must see this as well for abortion. It's America's Holocaust.
We still have abortions in Oklahoma. How can you be pro-life and have one abortion? Why not stop it right now? And I make a commitment right now that I'm going to do everything I can to completely abolish abortion in the state of Oklahoma within the first 30 days of office.
Vaccine mandates that are being rolled out right now are entirely unconstitutional and unbiblical. Every state that's a member of these United States, that's a member of our union, said we'll abide by the Constitution. That's why we don't tinker with it too much.
So I believe the word mandate doesn't equate to law. I am a big believer in the 10th Amendment, and that means state sovereignty. I would propose that every single business owner in Oklahoma that's affected by that ridiculous mandate push back and say no, because they don't own you. The federal government does not own you. We need to own that amendment, understand what it is, and not be afraid to push back.
We have to understand where critical race theory came from. Obviously, it comes from the Marxist handbook. And if we preach this and promote this, we end up a Marxist nation. It is not social justice. It is not anti-racism. It's actually racism in its purest form. The very thing Martin Luther King Jr. talked about, we're not going to allow this to be taught where we judge by the color of our skin.
There's one race. It's called the human race. I'm not going to apologize for being white. I'm not even white. I don't even know what I am. Kids in school need to be taught how to live life. Right now we're teaching them theories about how to hate. That's not education, that's brainwashing. We will not do that under my administration. We will fine every school that does that, and if they don't like it, they can take their education and find another state that will accept that nonsense. People all need to be healed. Our state needs to be healed, our land needs to be healed, the economy needs to be healed, and our confidence needs to be healed. Our hope needs to be restored. God has gifted us as healers. We know that we're called to not just heal people individually like we do, but we know now we're called to heal a group of people called the state of Oklahoma. My name is Mark Sherwood, and I'm running for governor of the state of Oklahoma.
Oklahoma is my home. This is where I was born and raised. It was here where I was given a chance at life, being conceived after my mother was violated at the age of 16. This is where I received my education and learned with hard work, discipline, and courage anything was possible. But things have changed. This is not the Oklahoma I remember. Over the last several years, I've seen fear, chaos, and division tear this nation apart through the efforts of communists and the apathy of Republicans in name only, who are either incapable or unwilling to do whatever it takes to protect our God-given rights. Election fraud, open borders, riots, unvetted Afghan refugees, and 300,000 plus acres of land sold to Chinese. Welcome, everyone, to another virtual town hall meeting. I am excited. I'm Dr. Mark Sherwood, as you know, running for governor of the state of Oklahoma, and we are pumped up about tonight. It's going to be an incredible virtual town hall. We have some amazing guests with us, which I'll tell you about more in just a moment, but just buckle your seatbelt because we're going to have Karmin Grider, James Taylor, and Brice Chaffin here tonight, and we are super honored to have three Oklahoma First candidates with us tonight. If you wonder what Oklahoma First is about, it's about valuing and listening to the people and the citizens of Oklahoma. These candidates that you're going to have tonight are all about honoring God, protecting the Constitution, and representing the people of Oklahoma. Your voice, my voice, will be heard loud and clear if we elect the right people. I'm encouraging you to vote for these candidates. Get your questions and answers ready because I want you to ask them questions live. I'll be monitoring the questions on my feed on my Facebook page right now. Also, just to remind you, a couple of house cleaning issues. If you haven't downloaded our app yet, you need to. The app is Sherwood2022.com. app, you can go to Sherwood 2022. So just know that you can download that. You can find out our schedule upcoming. Not only do we have the virtual town hall going on right now, but we also have the next one coming up in Ponca City, Oklahoma. Thank you to Terry Thomas. First, then it will be followed by Dr. James Taylor, and then it'll be followed up by Brice Chaffin. I want you to prepare your questions and put them into the Facebook feed that I'll be monitoring again live, and so I'll be feeding those questions. So after we get done talking them, I go back and forth. Then I want you to ask your questions specifically of those candidates. I'll give a little background of those, introduce them as well. Make sure that you share these videos. Share the videos big time. Help the candidates out by sharing videos. If you live in these districts and you live in these areas, you need to share these videos wholeheartedly. I'll be talking about the candidates' websites as well. Share the app as well. That's important because the only way we can get information out there is to you share it with other people. The mainstream media, folks, is not going to cover Oklahoma First candidates because the mainstream media is not about Oklahoma First. They're about money first. How many believe that we should have Oklahoma First candidates versus money first candidates? That's the problem. Politicians have become all about money. We need to elect statesmen and stateswomen to offices that really want to represent the people first and not represent their pocketbook. And that's what we've seen. That's the problem. I don't know about you, but I think myself, and I'll speak for all these candidates, are sick and tired of politics. We don't want more many ticks, bloodsuckers in office anymore. We want people that are going to represent people that have the heart of Oklahoma first. Now, without further ado, enough about me. I want to take the distinct honor and pleasure of taking some time to introduce a person who has become my friend, who I trust, who I've got to know numerous times. We've spoken side by side. We've stood shoulder to shoulder. I believe this person is an Oklahoma First candidate. I have asked them hard questions. They've asked me hard questions. We've gotten to know each other. Karmin Grider is running for House District 31. Her website is karmingrider.com, KarminGrider.com. If I mess that up, I'm sure she'll correct me in just a moment. But without further ado, welcome to our virtual town hall, Karmin Grider. Welcome, Karmin. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my gosh. I'm pumped up. So, Karmin, look, people know about you, but maybe there's some audience members here that don't. So for those of them audience members that don't, just let us know a little bit about who you are, how you are, etc.
Okay, my name's Karmin Grider. I'm a Republican candidate for House District 31 representative. That's basically South Logan County. It's Guthrie to Waterloo, and then over to the east, Indian Meridian Road, and to the west, 74, with just about 12 square miles southwest in Oklahoma County. And I'm a constitutional, conservative, Christian patriot. And right now I know that we are up against the Biden regime and global Marxism that comes through corporations. And I think that one of the biggest things that we've got to do in our state is to assert sovereignty to protect from, it's not just federal overreach anymore, it's federal. It's becoming a centralized power with almost no state power. And so we've got to do more than push back on that.
All right, Karmin, there's people in your district that are there and they're listening right now, and they'll listen more because we'll continue to share this video out at where people can watch the recording later, but people are live right now. What can the persons in District 31 expect from you, Karmin?
Well, they can expect me to serve them and not the special interest groups or the lobbyists or the big PACs. I've decided I'm not taking that money, and I won't when I'm in office, so I will be beholden to the voters, to we the people. And the people can expect me to help restore that authority to them. And I see my role as largely a facilitator to help the voter engage in the governmental process, as it is, the consent of the people. And I will be sending weekly reports that include my voting record, my attendance record, results on legislation, where bills are at, all kinds of things like that. And they're not going to have to navigate the government system to find my voting record or pieces of it and put it together to see, what my voting behavior is like, which I've done that for some politicians in office, and it's not an easy thing. So I'm going to be sharing that with my voters weekly, and I'll be making myself publicly available at events as they're had by the various individuals or entities, and I will be doing live streams, etc., just making myself as available as possible because I would be a public servant. And I think that the biggest difference is that I take that seriously, and I will not be one of those politicians that thinks they're better than the voter. Or an example of a politician would be, I can't do that. That's not a hill that we should die on. And what business would an employee speak to an employer that way? No, I'll look into it. I'll find a way. Let's figure this out together. And what can I do to help? And asking as many people, what can I do? And exploring till the very end of that path, or paving a new one. So I think that should be the standard, and I believe that House District 31, that we can set it, and it'll set a precedent for all other districts and their constituents to hold their elected officials who are public servants to be accountable to them.
A couple questions. I think that people should understand, and maybe I can ask two right in a row, and you can answer those. Number one, you mentioned you're going to keep your constituents informed. The question we would have is, how are you going to do that? And that's going to be many ways, I know. Just explain that to people. And number two question is, what is the main difference between you and your opponent or opponents, and what makes you the person that is going to represent the constituents in District 31 best?
Okay, so to answer your first question, I will send out weekly emails. I plan to I'm about to do my third round of door knocking, and after winning, I'll do another round. And that round, the fourth round, will be to get everyone's contact information and put that into a database where I can communicate weekly. So it would be reports sent directly to your email inbox, and it would be a process of engagement. I also plan to speak with people who are in fields where legislation pertains about feedback and language and what is the real on the ground truth that you see, not just what bureaucrats or theoreticians are saying or what lobbyists believe would benefit them the most. I believe in going directly to the people, and I think that's something that our citizenry is craving, is a direct approach. We're so tired of the middleman. I mean, I've even spoken with a number of individuals about poor customer service in businesses, and they're just tired of the workaround, and I can't do that. And they just want to talk to somebody who is directly involved. And you get that also with government, and that's not going to be how it is with me. And as something I like to say is I'm not just going to have an open door policy. I'm going to have an at your door policy. So I plan to door knock in the summertime between sessions, just to stay in touch with the people, schedule meetings, whatever I can to ensure that my employer is being heard and is able to assert their authority. And so for your second question, I think my answer to the first one really sets me apart, as well as my initial introduction. The money that I'm not taking, I know that they are taking those other funds. And I just think that puts an individual in a position to compromise. And here's a really good example. One representative, and this is something that I talk about frequently at the door when I show them how the politicians make their tricks happen. There was a vote in committee, and it would have prevented insurance companies from discriminating against people who choose not to take the vaccine. Well, he voted it down, and his excuse was, well, I can't tell businesses what they can and can't do. I'm a conservative, which I know this guy and the way he votes and the way he thinks because of his pattern of voting and his pattern of speech, depending on what audience he's speaking to. And so I went to this previous session and looked up some bills, and there was one that he voted for that prevented insurance companies from discriminating against disabled people. So I thought, there's a contradiction there. And so then the next step was I went to his list of donors, and he had at least 2 vaccine companies and 2 insurance companies donating to his campaign. So then I shared that with the people who were upset, and they confronted him about it, but gaslighting is a tactic. And just because Oklahoma voted 77 counties red for Donald Trump doesn't mean that at the local level we are the most conservative. We're actually pretty pink. It's just that our legislators know how to cast a facade of conservatism, and they will only highlight the bills that they do vote for that are good for their base, and they will make sure that the rest are buried. So I don't plan to do that, and I can't speak on behalf of my opponents and what their plans are for, but I do know that, whenever you take money, there is a tug that will eventually come, whether it's directly from whatever entity or if it's at the back of their mind, a fear that if I don't, then they won't. And that's not going to be the case with me. I'm not going to function in fear of how corporations will retaliate or big unions or whomever it may be. I will be in contact with the voters because that is my base, that is my constituency. And that doesn't mean that I won't talk with them because they do have some wisdom of what's going on in their field. It just means that that's not going to sway me. And it's also funny because the same representative was talking at a little event, and he was talking about, some donors, and he said, well, this guy was a big donor, so I really wanted to listen to him. That shouldn't be the case. It doesn't matter. One vote is one vote, and that's what we should be going after, not the chunks of donations. And so while he dropped about 20 mailers or could do that, it's not the case. And I think that majority of your funders should be in the district or individuals in the state who agree with you. And I can say that for this guy, that wasn't the case. He did not have a majority of individual donors in the district. They were PACs and super PACs and corporate interests and all of that. So yeah, I'm going to be for you guys. Enough said.
Well, I will echo that. Ladies and gentlemen, I've gotten to know Karmin on a personal basis. She's become someone I trust. And I can tell you, without question, she won't be bought. She will have that at your door policy. I have watched her personally speak with people. She is straight up. She will answer the question. If she don't know the answer, she will not lie to you and come up with some hocus pocus sham shift answer. She'll tell you the truth, and she is a researcher, a studier. She's given me information many times that I was not aware of, and I certainly appreciate that. Here is a couple things. What are your thoughts, questions? I'm following the feed here, Karmin, on the idea of term limits.
I am for them. And I know that we have them at the state level, and I believe we should have them at the federal level. And I've heard, there's an argument, well, what if you get a good one? And I say, okay, well, what are the chances in that? 1 in 100, probably not that even that good. And what's more to say is, say you do get one, who's to say there's not another one in that district who just isn't getting a chance? And so at the state level, we have a 12-year limit for House and Senate combined. And so I think, somewhere around there, maybe 16 years at the federal level could be good, but I'm definitely open to suggestions. But I'm a firm believer in term limits. I think that it's not just for the people's sake that they get fresh blood in there or fresh ideas. I think it's also for that individual's sake, because people lose their soul when they go in that direction. And it happens so frequently. They're just bought and paid for, and you can shake their hands and you just want to go clean them after you do that. It's just so slimy. So that's a pretty simple question. It's a yes.
Yeah, that's good. I think too, I had someone give us a suggestion one time. I thought it was pretty good, just to kind of add some color to your commentary. They talked about maybe a mentorship kind of program, like who are you going to mentor to bring in next, that kind of thing. And I thought that was kind of cool. I thought that was kind of a neat bridge to perhaps, in that idea and context, bring someone else in and give them a chance, but they are actually mentored and brought on by that same lineage of honor. Someone asked too about your OK2 survey, OK2A survey. Have you done it, and are you going to do it, or whatever? You can answer that.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. And I ran last time, and OK2A. Did they endorse me? If they didn't, then they withheld their endorsement. So I withheld their endorsement from either candidate, which says a lot. And so, I'm going to do it. And actually, there's going to be at the beginning of June for District 31, Logan County OK2A is going to host a forum. And I know that I will be there, and I think both the other candidates will be there as well, to go over those questions in person and some others that the organization comes up with. So I'm constitutional carry. I stay well protected while I'm door knocking, and I believe it's a right, and not just to be protected or to hunt, but to have one.
Love that, Karmin. And did I get your website right? KarminGrider.com.
Yes.
Okay, if someone on our team could put that in the feed, I want to make sure that gets in there. I'm asking you, ladies and gentlemen, right now to help these campaigns out. Give into the campaigns. If you live in that area, support. Get in and knock on doors. If you've liked what you've heard from Karmin Grider, and I believe you do. I do. And so we need to help each other in that. Karmin, as we reach our last 60 seconds here, you got the floor. What would you like to say to all the people listening and all the people that will share this video later on?
Well, I think with the slate of candidates that are on this call tonight, you, the people, have a question before you, and that's, what do you want? And I know for a fact that Mark Sherwood is a servant, he's a patriot, and I am as well, and so are the others that are going to follow. And so in answering that question, if you want somebody who means what they say and will be beholden to you, then this is your slate of candidates. And if you appreciate the status quo, which I don't think anybody on this phone call would or Zoom call would, then we're here for you. And it's a simple choice in that regards, at least for me, and who I'm voting for June 28th.
That's right, folks. June 28th is the date. Encourage you to carpool, get somebody, get 5 people, start getting that arrangements guaranteed right now. You live in District 31, you need to vote for Karmin Grider. I'm asking you for your support to support her. This whole team we've got going on across the state is like a freight train, Oklahoma first, and it is a ticket concept that you can vote for. Karmin, I want to thank you for coming on tonight. I want to thank you for, first of all, being a friend of mine. I consider that a deep, deep honor, and I'm so grateful that I've gotten to know you, and I look forward to a wonderful, personal and professional relationship with you as we go forward to save our republic, and just appreciate your servant heart for all of the citizens of the state of Oklahoma. I have no question in my mind that you will honor your word and you will step up and speak up on behalf of the citizens. So thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
Well, folks, we're going to take a brief video break. And so while the video is playing, we're going to bring our next guest on, Dr. James Taylor. You don't want to miss that. So we'll be right back after this short break.
Greatness shows up after you're tired. Let's say it one more time, man. Greatness shows up after you're tired, not when you're tired. And breakthroughs don't happen until you reach your breaking point. Been there many times, man, at that place I didn't want to go on, and I realized that strength can't develop until your strength is gone. You got to keep pushing, because character and courage is developed or lost when you decide to keep going or to give up. You see, that's the point. You got to stop, and you got to realize that's your breakthrough coming right there, because when others that are around you won't, you will be the one that goes ahead. Somebody has to step up and go a little bit farther. Is that somebody you? How many says that's me? I want to go a little farther.
We have up is down, left is right, bad is good, confusion. And God is not the author of confusion.
God wants to bless America, but it starts with His people first repenting and the ending of sin.
We have been in ministry the last 20 years. It was in prayer that the Lord began to convict me to run for office. And so I'm excited about Dr. Sherwood stepping up to the plate.
This is a man after God's own heart who will not compromise with the devil.
He's bold, he's courageous.
I'm Nick Vujicic.
Warren Hamilton.
I'm Jake Merrick,
And I endorse
Enthusiastically,
Dr. Mark Sherwood
as governor of Oklahoma.
The ending of slavery happened with total abolishing of it. We must see this as well for abortion. It's America's Holocaust.
We still have abortions in Oklahoma. How can you be pro-life and have one abortion? Why not stop it right now? And I make a commitment right now that I'm going to do everything I can to completely abolish abortion in the state of Oklahoma within the first 30 days of office.
Vaccine mandates that are being rolled out right now are entirely unconstitutional and unbiblical. Every state that's a member of these United States, that's a member of our union, said we'll abide by the Constitution. That's why we don't tinker with it too much.
So I believe the word mandate doesn't equate to law. I am a big believer in the 10th Amendment, and that means state sovereignty. I would propose that every single business owner in Oklahoma that's affected by that ridiculous mandate push back and say no, because they don't own you. The federal government does not own you. We need to own that amendment, understand what it is, and not be afraid to push back.
We have to understand where critical race theory came from. Obviously, it comes from the Marxist handbook. And if we preach this and promote this, we end up a Marxist nation. It is not social justice. It is not anti-racism. It's actually racism in its purest form. The very thing Martin Luther King Jr. talked about, we're not going to allow this to be taught where we judge by the color of our skin.
There's one race. It's called the human race. I'm not going to apologize for being white. I'm not even white. I don't even know what I am. Kids in school need to be taught how to live life. Right now, we're teaching them theories about how to hate. That's not education, that's brainwashing. We will not do that under my administration. We will fine every school that does that, and if they don't like it, they can take their education and find another state that will accept that nonsense. People all need to be healed. Our state needs to be healed, our land needs to be healed, the economy needs to be healed, and our confidence needs to be healed. Our hope needs to be restored. God has gifted us as healers. We know that we're called to not just heal people individually like we do, but we know now we're called to heal a group of people called the state of Oklahoma. My name is Mark Sherwood, and I'm running for governor of the state of Oklahoma.
Welcome back, everyone. Wasn't that amazing with Karmin Grider, again, running for House District 31, KarminGrider.com. Well, without further ado, it gives me great pleasure and honor to introduce a friend of mine. He's also an Oklahoma First candidate. He's running for the U.S. Congress District 4. It's Dr. James Taylor. His website is Taylor4OK.com. Taylor4OK.com, and we'll get that put in the feed. So without further ado, my friend, Dr. James Taylor, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much, Dr. Sherwood, for having me here. I just am greatly appreciative of this opportunity, and I love what you're doing, and very supportive of what you're doing. You're just awesome, just an awesome guy.
Well, this is a blessing. We've got to know each other a lot over the last several months of the campaign trail. We've got to speak at different events together. And man, you are the real deal. For those of you who don't know, your background, where you came from, I do. But perhaps there's someone out there, I can't imagine where they would be living in a hole somewhere. But give a little bit about your background.
Well, I am first and foremost a pastor. I've been called into ministry. I pastor Christ Church in Norman. I'm also a school teacher. I teach high school at Little Axe High School, so I'm bivocational. I love the Lord. I believe that America is the greatest country that God allowed to be on the face of the earth, and it breaks my heart to see the destruction that is taking place here. And so for me, I ran for Congress. I've always been active in politics, but I never ran for anything. And people kept telling me I need to run. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I never was. And as I said, I'm not crazy. And so apparently I am crazy now. But I think that we need to have some changes. I think I don't think people realize how close we were. We still are. We haven't moved away. How close we are to having a complete disaster happen in our nation. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, you're running for District 4, and describe the area geographically so that people can get an idea of where that is in the state of Oklahoma.
Well, that's about 15 counties. If you are in Oklahoma City, from 89th Street all the way south to the Red River, it'll incorporate 15 counties. It's not a huge district, but it is a pretty good sized district. is probably the smallest district, probably 5, maybe 1. But this one's probably the 3rd because 2 on the wings, east and west, those are big districts. They cover a lot of territory, but the number of people is the same. So,
got it. And when you get to Washington, what are you going to bring to the table in Washington, and how are you going to represent the citizens of your district in Oklahoma?
Well, I appreciate that question. The first thing I would say is I'm going to represent the people of Oklahoma. Our state passed House Bill 1775. Although it doesn't say anything about critical race theory, we know that as the critical race theory bill that has been passed and signed by the governor. And then just recently, the Department of Education for Oklahoma has defined what those criteria would be. Well, I don't know that most people in Oklahoma are probably not aware of the Civic Securities Democracy Act that Tom Cole was actually the first co-sponsor of it. And this bill is one that introduces CRT with a $1 billion grant program. That's very concerning. So he's supposed to be an Oklahoma representative, and yet he is supporting bills that go contrary to what the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the Department of Education has said. So how in the world does that represent? So first of all, I would represent. I also, one of the things that I know that Cole does is if you're Native American, I'm part Cherokee, don't have any papers, so don't think I'm Elizabeth Warren. Don't get me wrong. But if you're Native American, you're going to get Cole's attention real quickly and easily. And so I wish he would represent all the folks here better. So that's one of the things that I would do is to represent better. I think I would also be concerned about. I'm very concerned about our debt. We are accumulating debt that is absolutely out of control. When Cole went into office, and our debt was $6.3 trillion. Now it's $30.3 trillion. It's 5 times as much because Cole has never met a debt ceiling that he wouldn't raise. He's always voted for those things and continuous resolutions, which are a disaster. Whenever they vote for continual resolutions, that means they haven't done their job. That's why they vote for that. They have a job to do, and that is to provide a budget every year, but they haven't done it. And so that I'm sorry, I'm getting a little excited because I get carried away here, but I'm calming down. So, I mean, there's a lot of reasons I'm concerned, things that I want to do differently when I get up there.
Well, you got a background in education, and people might know you for the stance you've taken in Oklahoma education and some of the consequences you've dealt with. Oh, there's people on here that would say, oh, we don't have critical race theory in Oklahoma, and House Bill 1775 doesn't mean that. Talk about that a little bit, because I know you got some intimate knowledge there.
Well, I can tell you that I could go into any school district. I've been in little school districts, and I can go into big districts are even the worst culprits. But little school districts think because they're country, they're not doing this. And so what you have happening is they change names. I give people, when I go and speak on this subject of critical race theory, I give them a cheat sheet that defines it. It's like if I were to say, hey, let's talk about football. You're probably not thinking soccer, would you? You're probably thinking American football. Well, soccer is football also. So if I'm describing a play, if I'm talking about American football and I'm talking about how the quarterback threw the pass underhanded in one hand, then you would think, if you're thinking soccer, JT doesn't know what he's talking about. And so what that does is puts everybody on the same level playing field so that you understand what the terms mean, because their terminology is critical. It matters. And so it is in every school district. They'll tell you it is not, but it is. It's in the school district, and the hard part is trying to weed it out because they'll change the names of things. It's like Senate Bill or House Bill 1775 doesn't say anything about critical race theory, but when with Cole's bill, the Civic Securities Democracy Act, it doesn't say anything about CRT as well. They call it Cultural Responsible Education, CRE. Is what they call it. And so when you start finding out what the terminologies mean and you see what this says, You understand, but this is where he is trying to put this in across the nation. And yet our state has said, no, we don't want that. Don't bring that here. But it is in the schools. They'll tell you it's not, but it is definitely in the schools.
You know, it's interesting, and I think this question is probably from me, but it's a question I get asked a lot. You're going to go to Washington, and how do people know, and how can they ensure that you won't change and represent maybe Washington as opposed to the state of Oklahoma?
Well, that's an excellent question. I can't promise that when I get to Washington that a person's going to agree with all of my decisions. I mean, you know this. You make a decision and half the state doesn't like it. And so what I say is I will put my 3 C's into play. And that is it. The first one is the Constitution. If it violates Oklahoma or the United States Constitution, that's a no vote. That's a no-brainer. There's no reason to go any further. Okay, now it might be constitutional, but then the second C is my conscience. Does it violate my conscience? Now, if it's constitutional and it violates my conscience, then that's a no vote. And then the third C is constituents. If it's constitutional, if it doesn't violate my conscience, and if it doesn't, I'll be asking the question: does it hurt or help my constituents? Well, if it hurts them, that's a no vote. That's a no-brainer. So that's the way I'm going to use it. I also have an accountability partner. I think going to Washington is a cesspool. I'm telling you, it's a cesspool. And I believe every single spiritual warfare, every single spiritual challenge you have is there on steroids. Those strongholds are there on steroids. And if you go in there thinking that, oh, I'm okay, I'm going to be able to beat this, I know I'm weak. So therefore, I have accountability partners that will help me in this. And my book, and I'm not trying to sell a book, but my book is biblical, not political, is a book that basically is my platform. I mean, who puts their platform in writing, what they stand for in writing? Now, some people do it, but they have a loose leaf notebook. Mine's perfect bound. You can't tear the pages out. So that's the way I look at it. At this point in our country, we are in a spiritual war. And if you don't recognize that in our state, you know this as well, even in our state, this is a spiritual war that we have to fight with spiritual weapons and not with man-made things. So if you go in there, if a person goes into DC or goes into the Lincoln Boulevard with the mindset, oh, I've got this, they're already defeated. So I'm going in there with the mindset that I know there's evil out there. And honestly, this is not about Democrats, Republicans. This is good and evil. This is good versus evil that we're dealing with right now. Our country's on the precipice of a major transformation. And if we don't get that fixed, I think that the current administration recognizes they're in trouble. They recognize that there's going to be a wave that's coming through. And within this wave, there's a lot of people that have an R by their names that need to be out of there. They just, they need to pull a Hoffmeister and be what they are, become the Democrat that they are, because that's a problem. That's really a problem. So that's one of the things that I want to see is happening. And for me, walking in integrity is important. You can't just be compromising all the way. And that's why I have the 3 C's. The 3 C's are basically what I would be living by up there, and accountability partners that I meet with on a regular basis. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. What's the name of your book? Because I realize what you said, not trying to sell, but listen, folks, this is important. If a person puts their platform out there in writing, hold them accountable. That's what he's saying.
Right.
What's the name of your book?
Here's the copy of it.
There you go.
It's biblical, not political. Okay, and that's really what it is. It's biblical, not political, and it's just it takes 17 issues that are happening right now. This was written the year that I actually ran the first time, and right before the year I ran. And these issues are what's happening right now. It deals with socialism. It deals with immigration. There are over 160 verses on immigration in the Bible. It deals with global warming. Most people don't realize that the Bible talks about global warming as well. I mean, it deals with all kinds of issues. It deals with marriage. It defines what marriage is, despite what what society says marriage is between a man and a woman. And it deals with all kinds of issues. It deals with racial issues. I mean, I'm talking about all these things that are going on right now in our culture, in our society, in our nation, in our world. So that's what that deals with.
Well, I will echo that because you and I have talked at length many, many times about the idea, the false teaching of the separation of church and state. It was intended to keep the government out of church.
That's right.
Not intended to keep the church out of government. And
that's exactly right.
I absolutely honor you. It's biblical, not political. Folks, get that book. Seriously. It's a big deal. There's a couple questions here. Somebody put that on the post about how much they appreciate you. They asked when you wrote the book. I think you answered that. What year was that, by the way?
I think that was I wrote it in 2015.
Love it. The whole idea of what this man stands for, ladies and gentlemen, is a blessing for the DC swamp. He's going to go in there and he's going to shine a light on the darkness. And the darkness is not going to like him. No. But the darkness never likes light, and that's okay. But we have a man here who's going to share the light of God and truth and Constitution and principles to Washington, D.C. If you live in District 4, where he described, I want you to get out there and support this man. Taylor4OK.com. We've got it in the feed. Dr. Taylor, I just, in the last 60 seconds here, the floor is yours. What would you say to our listeners tonight?
I would say that I would encourage people to do homework, especially on on me too, check me out, but also on our current representative. In 2019, he had the New American, they rated him at a 30% conservative rating. 30%. That was the same level that Ocasio-Cortez had. In 2020, they rated him at a 40%. He had actually improved. But Ocasio-Cortez had a 60%. So you would be better off voting for Ocasio-Cortez if you wanted someone who was conservative rather than Tom Cole. Now, and now I will say that our other representatives and senators, Langford had a 30 in 2020. Jim Inhofe had a 35. So they weren't doing really well all the way around. And we're the reddest of red states, and we can't even get above 50. What's wrong with this picture? And so I would encourage people to do some research. I like the New American because what they do is they take constitutional issues. That's what they use to measure the Congress by. And so I would encourage people, please do your research. Don't just think in terms of this isn't high school where it's a popularity contest. This is about your future. They're making decisions. Cole put his name on a bill that was completely contrary to the makings of our state, what our state wants. And yet people are going to still vote for him, a lot of them. So please do some research and find out what people actually believe and what they stand for. Because I will represent you. Though most of you know that I was one of 6 teachers terminated by Oklahoma City Public Schools because I stood for truth. I stood for the rule of law, and I was terminated for that. That was okay. They meant it for evil, but God meant it for good, and it has been a real blessing in the process. So I just like I was fighting for the rule of law, folks, I'll fight for you. I've already demonstrated that I'm willing to stand alone, and I will fight for you. So please pray about my candidacy. Pray about thinking, okay, what would God have you do? Would God have you ignore it, or would God have you to do something about it? And so and my phone number is published. You call my web stuff, you're going to get a hold of me. I'm not changing phone numbers. These guys always get somebody else to do their phone work and because they don't have time. But hey, you call, I'll get to it. Now, eventually I will. I may have it go to voicemail because, if I don't know who you are, but I'll get to you eventually. So.
Well, I appreciate you and I honor you. It has been an absolute joy to get to know you and become a person that I can say is a friend. And just for those of you who don't know, he sends me a prayer every single day, every day. And it's such a profound, uplifting, just loving, kind thing. And I appreciate it so much, James. And I appreciate you being on with us tonight. And folks, I can't say enough about this man. You need to support him. Taylor, 4, the number 4, OK.com. Get behind him, and we need to send people to Washington that are going to truly represent us, the people.
Yes.
If we don't do that, that's our fault. But when we do that, we will see differences being made. This is what Oklahoma First is about. So thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to be taking a quick break right now. We'll show a video or two, and then we'll be right back with our next candidate, Brice Chaffin, who's running for House District 33. We'll be right back.
Thank you so much.
Greatness shows up after you're tired. Let's say it one more time, man. Greatness shows up after you're tired, not when you're tired. And breakthroughs don't happen until you reach your breaking point. Been there many times, man, at that place I didn't want to go on, and I realized that strength can't develop until your strength is gone. You got to keep pushing, because character and courage is developed or lost when you decide to keep going or to give up. You see, that's the point. You got to stop, and you got to realize that's your breakthrough coming right there, because when others that are around you won't, you will be the one that goes ahead. Somebody has to step up and go a little bit farther. Is that somebody you? How many says that's me? I want to go a little farther.
Oklahomans' rights are being violated. Personal liberties are being removed by force and by passivity. Americans are being bullied, intimidated, and manipulated. Oklahoma needs a strong leader who will stand up to federal overreach. We must stop unconstitutional mandates and elimination of informed consent. As a naturopathic doctor, I've personally treated over 9,000 COVID-19 patients with 0 deaths. That does not include the thousands upon thousands whom I've assisted with their overall health. As your next governor, I will defend Oklahomans' rights. I will not be bought with federal funds, corporate entities, or any other monies that have strings attached. I will not surrender your freedoms, nor will I bow down to petty tyrants, their scare tactics, or their threats. So stand with me and vote Mark Sherwood for governor.
Oklahoma is my home. This is where I was born and raised. It was here where I was given a chance at life, being conceived after my mother was violated at the age of 16. This is where I received my education and learned with hard work, discipline, and courage anything was possible. But things have changed. This is not the Oklahoma I remember. Over the last several years, I've seen fear, chaos, and division tear this nation apart through the efforts of communists and the apathy of Republicans in name only, who are either incapable or unwilling to do whatever it takes to protect our God-given rights. Election fraud, open borders, riots, unvetted Afghan refugees, and 300,000 plus acres of land sold to Chinese nationals has made Oklahoma the hub for human trafficking, the indoctrination of our children in critical race theory, sexual immorality, and abortion on demand. And finally, the unconstitutional and illegal vaccine mandate, leaving hundreds of thousands of our legal and law-abiding citizens jobless. Enough is enough, and the political theater must stop. We must have a governor who's willing to lead legislators and Oklahomans to fight back against this tyranny and aggressively address these issues head-on. As the next governor of the state of Oklahoma, I will, in the first 100 days, initiate a forensic audit with canvases to ensure election integrity, secure Oklahoma's borders, stop all state funding to school districts who train or teach CRT to faculty, staff, or students, and end all abortions. Oklahoma, let's put our faith back in God, believe that nothing is impossible, and make Oklahoma free again.
Welcome back. It has been an amazing, amazing town hall tonight. We've had Karmin Grider, we've had Dr. James Taylor, and we are about to have the home run hitter, we'll say, at the third place hole tonight, Mr. Brice Chaffin. So, a little bit of background. Brice and I met in Stillwater, Oklahoma. There was a protest out there where nurses were getting ready to get fired and lose their job because they refused to take an experimental drug vaccine in their arms. And this ridiculous scenario we were fighting there, we stood out on the street. We had people coming by. They were honking. Support was overwhelming. And I got to meet a man who had a passion for representation of the people and is stepping up to run for House District 33. So welcome tonight's virtual town hall to Brice Chaffin. Brice, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, I am honored. Now, for those of you, we'll put his website as well into the feed. Brice, it's actually Vote Chaffin, VOTECHAFFIN.com. Vote Chaffin, right in the feed. This is another one of our Oklahoma First candidates who's going to represent the people. So, Brice, let's get right to it. For those people out there that don't know you and don't know where your district is, kind of talk about both of those.
Well, my district is House District 33. So that is it's most of Payne County, and if you cut out Stillwater, the inside of Stillwater, still the borderlands are in 33, and cut out Perkins, and then it drops down and picks up Langston and goes all the way over to the edge of Guthrie. It's kind of meandering now. It used to be just Payne County with cutting Stillwater out, but the redistricting changed it. So if you live in any of those areas, you might want to check, see, are you in a new district? Because it has changed quite a bit. As far as who I am, my name is Brice Chaffin. I'm running for House District 33. I have a wife and 4 kids. We homeschool them. Our kids are second-generation homeschoolers. It was on my heart since I've really been a teenager that it's God's will for me to run for office, and that opportunity never came until 2 years ago. I was in a position where I could run, and I wasn't pleased with the liberal votes of my representative. So it seemed like that was the time to throw the lot in. And so I did. And I'm a constitutionalist, conservative. My platform is I'm pro-life, pro-gun, pro-freedom. And by pro-life, what I mean by that is to completely and totally abolish abortion in the state of Oklahoma. No more regulating it. My opponent said we have enough abortion laws already. I think he was right to a point. We just need one more. Just end it, knock it in the head. Because we can't have the blessings of God while we're murdering more people than Hitler. And 5,000 Oklahomans are killed every year. And it's not going down from regulating it. The second thing is I'm pro-gun. You look around at the nation and you see that our country's on fire, and the craziness is going to come here unless we can be able to defend ourselves. That is a deterrent. If they want to enforce all the liberal leftist craziness. And so when I look at the Second Amendment, shall not be infringed means shall not be infringed. And it's not for, they didn't do that because they were hunting. They just completed a war. So that's very important as a deterrent to be able to maintain our rights. And then the third point of my platform is I'm pro-freedom. And you can look around and see there's been a lot of infringements on freedoms all across the whole spectrum. Like you were saying with in Stillwater, they were going to fire all the medical personnel who didn't get the vaccine. So we had a rally for that. We had our mayor in Stillwater was one of the mayors in Oklahoma who had lockdowns, had mask mandates, and that we don't need that. And then also the parents need to have the freedom to choose how their schooling for their children goes, because we have some other craziness going on at home. It's not California. It's not New York. These things have come right to our backyards. So there's a lot of things that need to be remedied in those areas. Is abolish abortion and protect our Second Amendment rights and our God-given rights that the Second Amendment secures, and then all the freedoms, the natural freedoms that God has given us just by creating us in His image.
I appreciate that so much, Brice. I know you and I have talked, and I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, he means what he says. I've looked the man in the eye, and I can tell you he is not going to back away from those principles right there. I want to ask a couple of questions that our listeners may have. I have, and I think it's important for your area. There's the area of education, right? This whole idea of where we are right now, the multiple gender ideas and how that's affected Stillwater specifically. There's an incident out there that many Oklahomans and even beyond are aware of. Brice, talk about that just a little bit and how you would get in the middle of that situation.
Yes. So we have at the Stillwater Middle School, there's a boy that has been using the girls' restroom. He's been encouraged to choose his identity by his parents, and the school board is digging in their heels, saying that it's their policy not to discriminate against that. And you and I know that God created us in His image, and when we go and try to say no, that this isn't, I'm not who you made me, that's an affront to God. And the loving thing would be to not affirm the lies. Alexander Solzhenitsyn, who was a communist dissident that was exiled from the Soviet Union, said we should not live not by lies. And so as a community in Stillwater, a lot of the parents have gotten together trying to call on the school board and the superintendent to stop this, because there's girls using the restroom with this boy. He even walked in on a teacher, so in the meantime, right now we're trying to get a petition done for all the people in the community. First, we're going to churches and asking the pastors would help disseminate it to their congregations. And I'm asking for people that if you would take the petition and take it to your church and ask your pastor yourself, it might help speed it up. We'll need the petition back by the next school board meeting is April 12th, and we need it back by the Saturday before that, which I can't remember what the day is, but it's the Saturday before April 12th is when we'll need all those back. So if you could talk to your pastor, sign the petition before Sunday, that would be great. As far as once elected, I would author legislation to stop that. Jake Merrick, who's one of our senators, had legislation like that, and this year, and it got shot down in committee. Well, Stillwater is showing how much we really need that, more than just as a preventive for the future. We need it right now.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, Brice, because the whole idea of the way it's structured in the Senate and the House right now is where really one person can control the whole flow of what is even heard. And that is a whole other discussion for a whole other day. And you're right, Senator Merrick can submit things, you could submit things, but we have got to fix this thing. We've got to have people like yourself there that are going to stand up for righteousness beyond anything and any consequence, because it's right. Now,
Right.
Brice, let me ask you this. What is it that delineates you from your opponent or your opponents?
Well, from my opponent especially, he's a very, very nice man, and I think that's one of my mountains I have to climb over, is because he's very nice, but he doesn't believe in abolishing abortion. He like I said, he said we have enough abortion bills already. Constitutional carry, he voted against that. He was one of the few Republicans who did. For liberties, he voted against parents' rights to be notified if they're to give consent for vaccination, or if they want to exempt one of their kids from being vaccinated. He voted for a bill that would have mandatory parental training for if you just want to exempt your child from a vaccine. So he's a Republican, but he's a Republican because that's what you have to be in District 33 to be elected. And he's not conservative. I myself, I believe that our nation was founded on law, and I mean big L law. All laws come from God. Our system of government is a structure to enforce those laws. John Locke kind of put it into, he simmered it down to three. Right now, there's our
support every word you said, and I'll go just right for the straight up core truth. Folks, we cannot continue to vote people into our House, our Senate, or the governor's mansion that do not protect the Constitution and do not know the Constitution. We can't keep doing that, because if we keep doing that, all we're doing is playing politics, and we're not allowing the people's voice to be heard. The government needs to get smaller. The people need to get bigger. And this is what Brice Chaffin is all about. So, Brice, I know, you've done a good job of answering some tough questions. There's a lot of good comments here on the feed. But, 60 seconds, the floor is yours. What would you like to say to your viewers tonight?
Well, if you agree with that, we need to have righteous laws that are based on God's law, protect the Constitution. The 10th Amendment is vitally important of stopping the federal overreach. We need to do all these. I need your help. I need people to donate so we can get the campaign out there so people know who I am. I need, if you live in my district, if you would have a meet and greet with your neighbors, if you have 10 people, I can come to your place and we can have a meet and greet. I need door knockers to help tell people and hand out brochures and whatnot. If you can do any of those things, please contact me. That would be great. And then we also have a candidate forum on it's May 12th. If you'd like to come to that and hear the difference between the two of us, we had one 2 years ago, and we'll have another one this time. Please help out. Thomas Paine said this is that the summer soldiers and sunshine patriots will shrink from their country's needs, but I need you to help push forward righteousness.
Well, Brice, it's an honor to know you. It's an honor to serve the people of Oklahoma and represent them with you. And I look so forward to many, many more discussions like this, working together to benefit the people of your area, of the House District 33. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. And folks, once again, votechaffin.com, BOTECHAFFIN.com. If you live in that area, I'm asking you to donate. I'm asking you to get involved. I'm asking you to contact him. Ask him questions and keep the questions coming on his feed later on. As we share this thing, they'll monitor it, they'll answer. But if you don't get involved, that's your fault. If you don't step up, that's your fault. As for us, all of us on these Oklahoma First candidates, we're stepping up. So, Brice, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I appreciate you and honor you for being here.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. And folks, as we wrap up tonight, just a couple things that I want you to keep in mind and understand, that these virtual town halls are meant to inform you, the people of Oklahoma, the voters, of who's out there, what they stand for, where you get a chance to interact with them. You know, we can't be everywhere. We want to be, but we can't be everywhere. So make sure you do that. We'll be on here multiple times from here until June 28th. That's the primary date. Again, June 28th. Do not wait for the general election. Get involved right now. Get your carpools ready. Get your bus ready. Whatever you need to do to get people involved. That's critically important. Getting people involved at June 28th, that's where the elections are won and lost. We need to get these rhinos, these liberals, these people that do not represent the values of the vast majority of the state of Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a wonderful state full of wonderful people, including you. And we are honored to stand in this together. It's truly about we the people. Just by way of what's coming up next, our next scheduled virtual town hall is April 6th. Our guest that night will be City Elders founder Jesse Leon Rogers. We have other events coming up. Just by way of letting you know, we have Sheriff Mack coming in all the way from Arizona to teach our sheriffs constitutional law, and they're actually going to get credit for that. That's May the 7th, and we're going to have a big event surrounding that. That will be down in the Norman area, so make sure you get that marked on your calendar. That's a Saturday. May 21st, we've got John Bevere coming in for an event also in Norman, so we're going to have a lot of things going. Virtual town halls will continue over and over again. You can look at our app. You want to make sure you download our app. It's right here. You can find out what's happening. This is the schedule. The face of it looks like this. It has wonderful verbiage on here that should strike home with everyone. Never bow down to tyrants. Defy them. Defy them. You got to stand up, as Brice Chaffin talked about. It is our job. It is our duty. If ungodly, unconstitutional laws or mandates are passed out there, we don't have a choice. We must stand up. So once again, our guest tonight, Karmin Grider. She can be found at karmingrider.com. Dr. James Taylor, Taylor 4, OK.com. Karmin is running for House District 31. Dr. Taylor is running for United States Congress District 4. And you just heard from Brice Chaffin at votechaffin.com. He's running for House District 33. These are some of our Oklahoma First candidates. As we go marching across the plains of Oklahoma, this is like a ticket. This is like an Oklahoma First ticket. A people that are going to stand together. We're going to stand arm in arm, side by side, and battle for you, the people of Oklahoma. If you want your voices to be heard, let your voices be heard loudly and vote in people that are one of us. This candidacy, mine, I am going to represent the people. Brice is, Karmin is, James is as well. We're not going to back down one bit. This is about we, and we not being us four, we and many, many more, inclusive of all the people of the state of Oklahoma. We love you and we appreciate you. Thank you for joining us tonight. Again, download the app and share. And I'm going to challenge you right now. If you live in these areas, if you live in House District 31, you need to give some money towards Karmin Grider and help her out. If you live in House District 33 area, you need to give some money and help out Brice Chaffin once again. If you live in District 4, you need to support James Taylor. Get involved, help people out, door knock, get the word out, spread the word, because the mainstream media does not, and I repeat, does not want Oklahoma first candidates. They want pharmaceutical first candidates. They want establishment first candidates. They do not want you, the people, to get heard. So allow your voices to be heard. And I really appreciate, from the bottom of my heart, on behalf of my wife, Dr. Michelle, and I, and our entire team, and all of our Oklahoma first candidates. And I know that Karmin, I know that James and Brice would all echo this. We thank you. We honor you. We appreciate you for being on here tonight and taking some time. Share this video far and wide. Share, share, share if you care, care, care. So we love you. We appreciate you. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. We'll see you next time for our next virtual town hall meeting, and catch us on the road somewhere, wherever you are. The schedule's on the app. We'll see you soon. Good night.
We have up is down, left is right, bad is good, confusion. And God is not the author of confusion.
God wants to bless America, but it starts with His people first repenting and the ending of sin.
We have been in ministry the last 20 years. It was in prayer that the Lord began to convict me to run for office. And so I'm excited about Dr. Sherwood stepping up to the plate.
This is a man after God's own heart who will not compromise with the devil.
He's bold, he's courageous.
I'm Nick Vujicic.
Warren Hamilton.
I'm Jake Merrick.
And I endorse
enthusiastically
Dr. Mark Sherwood
as governor of Oklahoma.
The ending of slavery happened with total abolishing of it. We must see this as well for abortion. It's America's Holocaust.
We still have abortions in Oklahoma. How can you be pro-life and have one abortion? Why not stop it right now? And I make a commitment right now that I'm going to do everything I can to completely abolish abortion in the state of Oklahoma within the first 30 days of office.
Vaccine mandates that are being rolled out right now are entirely unconstitutional and unbiblical. Every state that's a member of these United States, that's a member of our union, said we'll abide by the Constitution. That's why we don't tinker with it too much.
So I believe the word mandate doesn't equate to law. I am a big believer in the 10th Amendment, and that means state sovereignty. I would propose that every single business owner in Oklahoma that's affected by that ridiculous mandate push back and say no, because they don't own you. The federal government does not own you. We need to own that amendment, understand what it is, and not be afraid to push back.
We have to understand where critical race theory came from. Obviously, it comes from the Marxist handbook. And if we preach this and promote this, we end up a Marxist nation. It is not social justice. It is not anti-racism. It's actually racism in its purest form. The very thing Martin Luther King Jr. talked about, we're not going to allow this to be taught where we judge by the color of our skin.
There's one race. It's called the human race. I'm not going to apologize for being white. I'm not even white. I don't even know what I am. Kids in school need to be taught how to live life. Right now, we're teaching them theories about how to hate. That's not education. That's brainwashing. We will not do that under my administration. We will fine every school that does that. And if they don't like it, they can take their education and find another state that will accept that nonsense. People all need to be healed. Our state needs to be healed. Our land needs to be healed. The economy needs to be healed. And our confidence needs to be healed. Our hope needs to be restored. God has gifted us as healers. We know that we're called to not just heal people individually like we do, but we know now we're called to heal a group of people called the state of Oklahoma. My name is Mark Sherwood, and I'm running for governor of the state of Oklahoma.